So in Isaiah 61, I started reading verses 1 and 2, and they read, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies." And it made me think, like, what does that last part mean? Like, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies. Like, what could that mean for someone who's mourning? And in my mind, the Holy Spirit clicked. And it said, you need to stop fighting so hard to get your get back. You're so focused on getting your get back instead of focusing on the one who's already done it. Look, sometimes in life we always forget that God knows everything. And with Him knowing everything, that means that He knows your present, He knows your past, and He knows the future. So it's like if God were to tell you, like, trust me, I know how this is going to play out. In our minds, we would think, in our human minds, through our human lenses, in our perspective, we think that doesn't make any sense because we only know so much. We're so limited in knowledge because we only think about the present. But what we always forget is that God is a million steps ahead. So it's like, would you rather sit here and depend on your own mind with this limited knowledge of what's going to happen in this scenario if I just jag right at this person? Or trust in someone who already knows how things are going to play out because he's a million steps ahead? God is painting your story into play. He's painting it into play. So you have to understand that God knows everything and He's everywhere. And what that means, whenever I say that He's everywhere, it means that He's omnipresent, meaning that He is always with us. So in those moments that you do feel like you just want to start barking at someone, right? Understand that God is with you and that you can withhold from that. And there's a Bible verse that reads that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I said it backwards, but still it means the same thing, right? Your flesh is going to make you bark and try and get your get back and do all these X, Y, and Z at someone, right? But look, what's even more powerful and more almighty than your flesh barking at someone is the willing spirit of God that's living inside of you. So just understanding that next time you fall into a temptation where you're tempted to, bark at someone, so often, like, whenever we fall into things like that, we often tell ourselves, like, man, I just can't help it. I can't help myself. And you're right. You can't help yourself because the flesh is weak. You can't do it on your own. You have to understand that in that moment, God is with you. That's what you have to understand in that moment. And it's way easier said than done. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a process. But if you stay consistent with that process, you are going to see a change in your life.